Don't believe everything you... Wait, what is this place? Where am I? Gotta find a way to get out of here, using chaos control or something. Hey Husky Z, check this out.
Yes?
Wait, you're not Husky. You're literally Justin H. Hey, aren't you Henke, the guy who made that controversial Tails is Infinite theory?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but yeah, we do work on Smash theories together. But I'm pretty sure you're not the same gamer guy. This is the world of Smash Bros.
Wait a minute. So there's another version of me in this dimension, and instead of Husky Z, you're my partner instead? And our series is called Smash Theory instead of Sonic Theory?
Yeah, that's the gist of it. Although the gamer guide I know dresses much more casual for these videos.
I see. Wow, the Phantom Ruby must have really messed things up this time.
The Phantom what? You mean, the Chaos Emeralds?
Huh? No, never mind. Anyway, listen Henke, you gotta help me get back to my own world.
Alright, sure thing, but first we got a Smash Ultimate Sonic theory to do, like, right now, and since I can't find the other gamer guide, it has to be you. This should be right up your alley anyways.
So basically, you want me to help you with a Sonic theory that isn't about Sonic lore, but still about Sonic? Sounds very intriguing. Ready when you are.
Ladies and gentlemen, this theory will be delving deep into the dark lore of Smash Bros. I'm Henke.
And I'm GamerGuide7Aces. And for the 20th episode of Sonic Theory, we'll be exploring Sonic's importance in the Smash Bros. Series, and what that means for the next chapter, the World of Light. So without further ado, let's begin.
Galeem, the main antagonist of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's World of Light story mode, resembling a large sphere of light surrounded by angelic wings with shifting colors and patterns on them. In the beginning of the story, it's commanding an army of Master Hands against the various playable fighters. However, it then absorbs the hands, turning into a black hole, and uses them to unleash a devastating attack, which only Kirby manages to escape from by pushing his Warp Star to its limits. All the other video game characters are hit with the snaking yellow beams of light, which disintegrates them and continues outwards, covering the planet, the rest of our solar system, the galaxy, and continuing to expand outwards from there. All the characters that died are turned to spirits, and later imprisoned in the so-called World of Light. The spirits possess or clone the captured fighters, and Kirby, the lone survivor, must now save everyone from this world.
But exactly who is this Galeem who's appeared out of nowhere? Where did he come from? Why are all the Master Hands in allegiance with him? And who caused all this? Well, what if I told you that Sonic the Hedgehog not only plays an important role in this, but is the key factor in causing the events that leads to Galeem? Now I'm sure many of you have jumped to the conclusion that I'm referring to Sonic defeating Tabuu in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and the possibility of Galeem being Tabuu who is out for revenge. But it goes deeper than that, much deeper. It's time to enter into the dark world of Galeem. By the way, Galeem's name is a play on words. It originates from the adjective gleam, which is often used in contexts relating to light. So literally, World of Gleam means World of Light. Isn't that interesting? Even though it's a fighting game, the Smash Bros. Series has had a wonderful lore with deep messages and themes, created by Sakurai himself. And throughout the years, several people have theorized them. But now the story is complete. So let's go back to the beginning of the world of Smash Bros. To understand what's fully going on here. Now, although this hasn't been confirmed by Nintendo yet, many have theorized that the setting of Smash Bros. Takes place inside a child's imagination. In fact, the intros of the first two games proves this. In the original Super Smash Bros. On Nintendo 64, the characters are plushies, brought to life by a gloved hand, and in Melee, they're trophies brought to life when a hand throws them into the air, and his imagination transforms them into the living. The original Smash Bros. Came out around 1999. Let's say the child in the game is around 9 years old, which was about my age back then. As an innocent kid, you play mostly with plushies and stuffed animals, which explains why the video game characters are depicted in that way.
Now the first villain of that game is Master Hand, which is you. It represents your creative and free-spirited side, but also shows the first signs of you wanting to be in control. When you're a kid, you never get to be in charge of anything. When you're at home, you listen to your parents, and when you're at school, you listen to your teachers. So playing with your toys, you immerse yourself into your own world where you control these characters and have them fight against each other, including you. It's one of the early types of escapism. Now the villain of the next game, Super Smash Bros. Melee, is Crazy Hand, which is also you, your left-hand counterpart. It represents your more angry and destructive side. Oh, and by the way, since this game comes out in 2001, you're around 11 years old, a preteen who's approaching your pubescent teenage years, which explains you playing with action figures and trophies instead of plushies and stuffed animals. So both of these hands essentially represent the child player growing up. Master Hand is the peaceful and imaginative side of the child, while Crazy Hand is the chaotic and erratic side as you take your frustrations out on your toy figures.
Now let's move on to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, when things really start to get dark and complex. Okay, so this takes place in the year 2008, so the child is now 18 years old, graduating from high school and entering college. You know, this game draws some parallels with Toy Story 3, except in this case, instead of the older teenager putting his toys away to move on to college, like Andy, he still enjoys playing them. It's society that's telling him to stop and grow up. This time, the villain in the game isn't the child, it's something more serious and threatening. Tabuu, the leader of the Subspace Army and the main antagonist of Brawl's adventure mode, the Subspace Emissary. He is a powerful supernatural entity who resides in subspace. He uses the subspace bombs to send entire locations to his dimensions, where he absorbs their power to increase his own, and his name is a corruption of the word taboo, referring to something that is forbidden. Tabuu represents society and its demands of conformity by bullying. He's the true embodiment of subspace, as his plan was to cut the world of trophies into pieces and take them away to his subworld. Now Tabuu, being the embodiment of subspace, is very symbolic, because society tries to subconsciously force us to conform to their standards, like not watching cartoons when you're older because it's for kids, or playing video games because it's a waste of time for adults, or better yet, only playing mature games like first-person shooters, GTA, or sports games instead of rated E games like platformers because those are for children. You guys get the point. Tabuu is also seen controlling the Master Hand with his chains of light, which represents society peer pressuring you to do what they want. Even his trophy description says it all. What does it say, Henke?
It says that Tabuu controls Master Hand with chains of light to excise this world and build up his great maze. He used shadow bugs to form subspace and manipulates the servants of Master Hand to his heart's content. Born in a vastly foreign realm, he also possesses great leadership powers. Tabuu. No name is more suitable.
Out of all the villains in the Smash Bros. Series, Tabuu is probably the worst one, because he's the only external obstacle in the series, meaning he's the only antagonist that isn't derived from you, the player, or the child growing up. But he definitely lays the foundation for the next two games and has a lasting effect on the protagonist, which is you. Speaking of protagonists, you all may be asking yourselves, what the heck does any of this have to do with Sonic? Well, he plays a significant, albeit brief, role in all this from Brawl moving onward because he defeated Tabuu.
Actually, Gamer Guide, it wasn't just Sonic who defeated him. It was canonically 6 characters: Luigi, Ness, Dedede, Sonic, Kirby, and Bowser.
Okay, fine, but all of them helped Sonic defeat Tabuu, because Sonic is the one that instigated it. Sonic defeating Tabuu is very important because he's the complete antithesis to everything Tabuu stands for. Not just because of Sonic's free-spirited nature and character, and he's adventurous, brave, and has a strong sense of justice and refuses to conform to things, but also because of how much the fanbase has been ridiculed by other people, by society. In a way, the story of Tabuu is an allegory of society's hostility and negativity to the Sonic fanbase in general. I mean, who can forget this?
I don't know, I don't really understand why, but there is a segment of the gaming community that really, really loves Sonic.
Sonic is never good. If you disagree, you can call the cops.
Also, the reason is they all want to have sex with Big the Cat.
That's true.
That is still the reason.
No, look,
I said it an hour ago. I'll say it again.
I think when you're a kid...
Now let's fast forward to 2014 when Super Smash Bros. 4 came out. The 18-year-old teenager is now a 24-year-old adult, but still playing video games. Now this is where the story of Smash takes a really dark turn, because while Tabuu was more of an external obstacle in the previous entry, the villain called Master Core is the internal obstacle of this game.
But wait, hold on. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS has no story, so how is it darker than the previous game? I think you're reaching with this one.
Actually, I'm not, Henke. While many people will judge the game at first glance and think Smash 4 has nothing to offer in terms of lore, it in fact does. Even more so than the first two games. Also, remember Sakurai always intended for Smash 4 to have a much deeper and internal story, but decided to use no cutscenes and stated that he didn't want people to spoil them by uploading them on the internet. He said, and I quote, "Unfortunately, the movie scenes we worked hard to create were uploaded onto the internet. You can only truly wow a player the first time he sees a cutscene. I felt if players saw the cutscenes outside of the game, they would no longer serve as rewards for playing the game, so I've decided against having them." Now, I don't know if he really meant this or not, especially since Smash Ultimate has a story mode, but I always saw it as him saying he never really needed cutscenes to depict his story, because this one was all an internal struggle between the player and his inner demons. Yeah, not a very exciting story to tell with video game characters and cutscenes. Anyway, what is Master Core? He's all of the negative thoughts the player has, which was all caused by Tabuu. Tabuu was a powerful enemy and symbolized how strong society dislikes anyone or anything that's different, including if you're a Sonic fan, which the player is. So his self-esteem took a tremendous hit as he got older into his 20s. He started having darker thoughts of depression because the things that always brought him joy, like Sonic and video games, was considered to be not normal.
Sonic was never good. If you disagree, you can call the cops.
Or Tabuu. So basically, the enemy of this game is yourself. All the negative and destructive feelings the man had growing up has manifested into this scary mass of black particles known as the Swarm that take on various forms depending on the difficulty level and battle progression. The higher the level of depression and negativity, the worse forms they take. Now let's look at all the dark forms of Master Core, starting with the first form, Master Giant. It's the only form that is the most humanoid and represents the dark consciousness of the player, telling him, maybe it's time for you to stop playing video games, to stop liking Sonic, and be a normal adult. After you defeat the giant, he quickly transforms to Master Beast, which represents the anger and resentment you feel at society for ostracizing you. The Beast is the vicious creature that has been backed up into a corner and lashes out at the world, channeling all the aggressive features of Crazy Hand, retaliating in frustration. The third dark form is the Master Edge. Now this one is very interesting, since it's 5 swords that attack you randomly. Swords have several meanings. It symbolizes power, protection, authority, strength, and courage. It can also stand for justice too. But metaphysically, it represents discrimination, which is what is being represented in Smash 4. It's the sword of society, showing its dominance over you by discriminating. So this takes a lot of mental strength to battle, especially since the sword's attacks are all over the place and out of control. It's pretty hard to read what they're going to do next, which accurately portrays mental instability. Now, being in full control of your emotions and overthinking your life choices is what Master Edge is all about. Next up is the Master Shadow, which is another reflection similar to Master Giant, but instead of it being a dark doppelganger of you, it's of the video game characters themselves you play with. Let's say Sonic, for example. Now, this is the part when the man starts believing what society has been telling him, that video games are bad for him and he needs to abandon them. So he starts seeing them in a more negative light, as something that's hindering him, destroying him. The thing that's given him joy throughout his life is now his worst enemy that he has to fight. After all this roller coaster of emotions, he has completely lost his mind at this point, with no hope of recovering and just wants to be normal like the rest of society. The final stage is the Master Fortress, which is a huge maze depicting the man's consciousness as you're traveling inside his mind. It's completely grim, depressing, and hopeless. At this point, it feels like he's already lost the battle. But no matter what, you have to fight your way through it all. Master Fortress is effectively an entire stage resembling a human body that must be traversed, and the player must search for and destroy a total of 4 weak points to proceed. These weak points resemble hearts, and beat audibly when the player is close. These hearts represent the darkness living inside all of us, just festering and taking over the entire human body. Once inside the fortress, shadowy versions of enemies such as plasma wisps and lithiniums and etc. will appear and attack you, but you must press on and defeat the last beating heart of darkness. After completing that task, you're left with an orb resting on the stage amidst the silence. After defeating the Master Fortress form, Master Core will finally reveal itself. It represents the core of all the negative, dark, depressing, and destructive thoughts that have been brewing inside of you for all these years. Even though this villainous core doesn't fight back, it is the most stubborn, as it takes several hits and attacks to defeat. And if you fail to destroy the darkness within the time limit, it will begin to spin rapidly and rise to the center of the screen. Then charge up and unleash 5 red waves. These waves work similarly to Tabuu's off waves and will one-hit KO the player if they make contact. Basically, this is the Master Core's last attempt at killing the player, killing the man himself, in an act of suicide. But you must overcome those feelings and rise above it. After you defeat the darkness once and for all, it shatters and a white light fills the screen. This is the light that has been locked away by the darkness for so long. The undying light. The Master Core was created by Tabuu and his need to judge people who are different. But now that you have conquered the darkness, you successfully managed to search your soul and reawaken the undying light. Or have you? Enter Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, earlier on, I asked the question of who is Galeem. Although I explained how his name is a corruption of the word gleam, and his name in Japanese is a corruption of the Japanese onomatopoeia, shine, twinkle. Both names are tied to the adventure mode motif of light. The most important question at hand here is, in the fashion of all the previous villains, where did Galeem come from and what does he represent? Well, here's the twist. Galeem is the light. The undying light that you reawaken in Smash 4 after destroying the Master Core. So Galeem is essentially the spawn of Master Core, the same way as Crazy Hand comes from Master Hand. They're both opposites of each other, with Tabuu being the centerpiece of everything. But why is Galeem the villain if he represents light, you may ask? Light is supposed to equal good, right? That is true, but Galeem is what happens when light is corrupted. The very symbolic meaning and origins of Galeem is very tragic and even biblical. But first, let's talk about the player. The 9-year-old boy who started playing Smash 64 has grown up to be a 28-year-old full-grown man, as this game comes out 4 years after Smash 4. He's approaching 30 years old, and he's lived the past few years in happiness, not plagued by his inner demons and depression anymore since he's awakened the undying light in his heart. But now that light is starting to extinguish, as he's faced with adult real-world problems that he can't escape. It's a constant uphill battle against the forces of the universe where you just can't win and can only keep yourself from sliding further backwards down the dark hole. Living in your house, paying the bills, trying to start a family, simulating into the adult life can be quite taxing, and there comes a time when you just have to cast aside all your toys, all your video games, and act according to your age, right? This isn't Master Core speaking to you again, it's Tabuu. And this time you're starting to agree with him. You don't have time for games anymore. It's time for it to end. This is why you see Galeem with an army of Master Hands at his full command. That represents not only you, but several other adults who are ready to say goodbye to their childhoods and move on to the next stage of their life. This is inevitable. This is unstoppable. This is Judgment Day. There is a verse in the Bible called 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 11, and it says, "When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things." And that is exactly what is going on here, as Galeem's appearance resembles an ethereal being of light with 6 wings, which depicts a seraphim. In the book of Genesis, during the time of Abraham, the Hebrews believed that an appearance of a seraphim in the mortal realm signifies the end of the world. This reflects Galeem's role in World of Light as the one who attempted to destroy everyone in existence, turning them all into spirits. This isn't just some dark evil that's killing your favorite video game characters. This is the righteous, angelic light of judgment. So no, Galeem isn't related to Tabuu at all. Tabuu's wings resemble a butterfly's, which represents change, since the insect goes through metamorphosis to transform from a caterpillar to a butterfly. That's symbolic for society trying to change the player. But Galeem's wings are that of an angel, a seraphim, bringing the end of the world. Even the colors on Galeem's wings are symbolic. The wings on his body glow in the same colors as the ones on the Super Smash Bros. 4 logos, blue and red. In order to understand this, we must look at chakras and the meaning of the colors, which deals with holistic nursing as well. The bluish colors represents the third eye, which is reflection, intuition, and clarity of sight. Galeem feels like it has clarity and feels justified on what he or she's doing, destroying all the video game characters, destroying the man's childhood. The sphere of light in the center of Galeem represents the all-knowing third eye too. The reddish colors is the root chakra, which is physical identity, stability, and a sense of safety. Galeem feels it will be safer by killing everyone and wiping out the entire galaxy. And the yellow represents the solar plexus chakra, which means the ego, personal power, and ambition of Galeem. Pretty deep stuff, right? Most definitely, because this villain is the culmination of all the Smash games that came before it. In a way, Galeem finishes what Tabuu started, because after destroying the characters and leaving the world a barren wasteland inhabited by hostile spirits and dark versions of the fighters whose trophies were captured, it later has their spirits reincarnated into these dark trophies. So clearly this Galeem isn't so righteous after all. It's been corrupted by the darkness, and you can tell when the sphere of light becomes a black hole, right before killing the characters. Galeem represents a self-righteous false god, a false idol, perhaps something that the man looks up to and causes him to sacrifice everything he held dear to himself as a child growing up. Adulthood is inevitable, but the only character that is left in the game is Kirby, and with his help, you must search your soul to find the pure and true undying light to defeat Galeem. Even the lyrics of Smash Ultimate's vocal track, Life Light, explicitly states this.
Colors weave into a spire of flame. Distant sparks call to a past still unnamed. Bear this torch against the cold of the night. Light will guide you on your way to the ultimate fight.
Wow, this is starting to sound a lot like Kingdom Hearts.
I know, right? Sora for Smash DLC confirmed?
I don't know. You might as well put Thanos for Smash.
But we already have Thanos in Smash. Anyway, what makes this story so tragic and yet so beautiful is that Galeem is supposed to be good, for he was the undying light from the beginning, but got corrupted by the darkness. Whether this game ends with you saving Galeem's soul or destroying him remains to be seen, but he has to be stopped because there is nothing heroic he's doing. Speaking of heroic, out of all the characters who died in that opening cutscene, Sonic was the one who died a hero, as he was trying to save Pikachu before they both got disintegrated. He always puts others first before him, and that's something Galeem will never understand, but will soon find out from Kirby. And I love how Sonic now has to be saved, along with Mario and the rest of the characters. Even though Sonic saved you from Tabuu, now it's the player's turn to save Sonic. This is something even Sonic Force has failed to emphasize properly, but Sakurai was able to depict it in a few seconds much better. But wait! There's more. The true final boss of the game is not Galeem. It is in fact Dharkon. He is the true main antagonist of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's Adventure Mode, World of Light, and the evil counterpart of Galeem. After some of the video game characters' spirits restore their bodies like Sonic, Mario, and etc., they team up and defeat Galeem. But then Dharkon appears from a crack in the sky, commanding an army of Crazy Hands. Dharkon destroys Galeem's army of Master Hands and imprisons him, engulfing the planet in darkness in the bad ending. But in the good ending, Dharkon is later defeated by both Galeem and the fighters. This is incredibly significant because while Master Core represented the dark and negative thoughts in all of us, Dharkon is the pure embodiment of evil. When Master Core was defeated in Smash 4, both the light and the dark split from it. It reawakened the undying light Galeem and the undying darkness called Dharkon. For Dharkon's name derives from the Hindi word Dharkon, meaning pulsation. It's the darkness literally pulsating throughout the supposed world of light that it could have been the reason Galeem was corrupted by the dark. Notice how both deities have eyes in the center, and Dharkon's represents the all-seeing eye of evil. Galeem's role as a seraphim was to bring judgment to Dharkon and destroy it, but instead it was misled to destroy the video game characters. And here's the further proof that Dharkon represents evil, while Galeem represents good. Galeem's army are master hands, while Dharkon's army are crazy hands, just like your conscience, right being good and left being bad. Everything comes together in the climactic battle, and after Dharkon is completely eradicated, all the remaining spirits escape in a beautiful whirlwind, restoring life to all the fallen heroes. And thus, that concludes the saga of Super Smash Bros. Whether this is going to be the last installment or not, it's clear that the narrative of the story concludes with this game, as the 9-year-old child has grown up to a 28-year-old man and must face the consequences of his actions as he tries to grow up in a cruel society that won't accept him. Many people can relate to the lore of Smash Bros., especially Sonic fans, as it chronicles the stages of our lives and the growing pains. It's essentially a story of self-acceptance, resilience, and conquering darkness with light, but not letting the light give in to corruption or conformity by the pressures of society. This is something many of us Sonic fans can relate to as well, but like Sonic, we can unite to smash away our inner demons.
But you know, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times, if one only remembers to turn on the light.
And that is what Super Smash Bros. Is all about. Well, that wraps it up for this Sonic Smash theory. I really enjoyed covering this one with you, Henke.
Yeah man, me too, and now it's time to return you back to your world.
Okay, let's do this.
Alright Galeem, take it away.
Come again? Wait, hold up. That's Galeem? I didn't sign up for this. What's he going to do?
Oh, don't worry, he's good now. Anyways, bye Gamer Guide.
Wait, stop. No! Huh? What the?
Oh, shit. Wait, I'm back here again?
Husky Z, is that you?
Gamer God, there you are. Where you been? I thought you were gone for good. Man, that Phantom Ruby is causing all kinds of trouble now.
Nah, I think I may know how to destroy the Ruby now. For good this time.
Really? How?
Let's just say, while I was gone in that other dimension, I've been enlightened on a few things, if you know what I mean.
Wait, you've been dimension hopping? Give me all the details.
In due time, Husky Z. But for now, let us step out into the light and pursue that flighty temptress adventure.
Okay, let's go.